Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy. 4 nerds by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And we're ready to delve back into Critical Role, Matt Mercer, Campaign 2, and we're going to be talking about Episode 6.
Jump down to the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with us.
Alright, so, it's Saturday for us, and, for us, our Friday might be your Thursday. I don't know, but Critical Role just comes on too goddamn late on the East Coast for us to watch it, live. So we usually catch the replay the next day, video on demand, over on Project Alpha.
Absolutely. So, Episode 6 dropped 2 days ago, or 36 hours ago, however you want to look at it at this point in time, and we've checked it out, we've watched it. As always, there's spoilers because we're going to reveal stuff that happens, so...
2 weeks ago, by the time this goes up. So, right. So there's definitely that. So most of this session was combat.
Combat and exploration as they're getting their way into the Knoll mines. Yeah,
it took about 30 minutes in town before they, get going, and then, and even Matt was trying to, move them along. I felt like he's like, yeah, people are probably dying right now. Knolls are definitely gnawing their faces off. And it's going to be horrible. And at some point, he's even like, yeah, bring back alive people. We'll pay you more.
For a low-level adventure, I don't know, maybe we're just stingy when we give stuff out. But the gold value that they're paying out for the Knoll ears and people returned alive, to me, seems like a substantial amount.
Yeah, last session when they said... 30 gold an ear. I was like, man, that's a lot. And, each Knoll's got 2 ears.
And you know what Jester's thinking, when you kill the hyenas, the hyenas have ears, and Knolls are very much hyena-ish people. You could beat them up a little bit.
Yeah, you know what she's thinking, because she goes, how do the Knoll ears look compared to the hyena ears? So yeah, you definitely know what she's thinking because she pretty much says it. There's that. There's some funny one-liners. My favorite is probably Canary in a Knoll mine.
Yeah, that was a good one. There was there was one time when Caleb starts fake retching. It was really good.
I whip my falchion back and forth. That was fun.
There was a lot of puns, a lot of hilarity going on in episode 6.
This episode, Marisha actually had a bunch of things that were kind of funny. Those lines were her lines that I just mentioned. Of course, Jester. Jester, it's hard to pick on any one particular line because she's nonstop. But
Sam had some good stuff as well going on.
I'm still always blown away with how much she stays in voice throughout the session. It actually throws me off when she doesn't. Yeah, when she doesn't talk in character.
She at one point in time in this one she does go out of character, and most of the time I do listen as opposed to watch. So it's you all of a sudden have this different voice, and it's what?
Yeah, it totally is a total dissonance and disrupt. Whoa, what's going on? Has Cthulhu shown up? No, so it is kind of weird. Nott was super chaotic this session.
It was pretty funny, since he is not the brave, and meaning not, no comma, he's just not brave. He has to take liquid courage, and he gets drunk in order to go and scout out ahead, which winds up giving him disadvantage on dexterity and intelligence, checks, which means intelligence and attack rolls and stealth checks.
And he gets discovered.
So it gets some pretty historical, hilarious moments, including down to the end when it's all right, well, there's 10 minutes of drunkenness left, and it's well, do we want to wait it off, or do we want to just forage ahead? And it kind of leads into his the ending and the
cliffhanger.
There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. It leads into the cliffhanger of, oh, God, there's a scream, my baby. And that's where we wrap. It's oh, man.
It is kind of funny that that's what it literally took to get them moving to, go save people. Because they really were kind of him and hawing, dragging their feet. And they didn't really seem to have the urgency that one would expect when going to save people. They're more concerned with how are we going to be really cautious and take these guys out and mitigating the risk?
Well, I think like when we usually have heroic adventures, that's what we look at. Okay, let's charge forward, and we put ourselves in harm's way, and we're prepared to do the utmost. And this group of characters don't really present that. And that's fine. You can have that style of game, and you can run heroic adventures with non-heroes and see what winds up happening. And I think this is exactly what winds up happening. You have to encourage every so often as the GM that, oh, you have a time crunch. You have this going on. We've just witnessed a group of gnolls tearing into human hearts and body parts. Those were probably, if not definitely, people from Allfield, and now they're chow.
So I wonder if the introduction of a demon lord into the campaign is going to be an overarching thing, or this is just like a side quest.
Yeah, it's funny having them try to pronounce Yeenoghu.
I have to assume, however Matt says it, is the way it's going to be said, no matter what, because they're using his voice and Mercer's voice on D&D Beyond, I believe, for the pronunciation guide. So I guess we have to go. We're stuck with going with that, whatever that is. I always call it Yeenoghu. I've always called him Yeenoghu.
Okay.
And I always mispronounce things. So there's that too.
I've never really cared of what the proper pronunciation for that is. I don't use Knolls heavily in my games, and all right, let's face it. You want to use Yeenoghu, whatever. Like, do what you want.
Yeenoghu.
But I thought it was amusing, watching and the characters stumbling over this. And I think it was them playing it up because it is a humorous name. And if you're not used to hearing it, it's like, well, how do we say it?
It's like alphabet spaghetti at that point. So, yeah. So you kind of touched on the fact that, like, these characters, they're more goodly than good. If you look at their background so far as presented. Yeah, and I don't know how much that's going to change, but you have Caleb and Nott who are in prison, and they're also kind of shady anyway. Everyone knows they're shady, and they're like, whatever. They seem to be pretty much okay with it. You've got Mollymauk, who's got a bit of a past as well.
And we actually get into, some of his background in this one. And I did think that was kind of cool. So if slowly we learn more about these characters, it adds that bigger layer to it. So I thought that was a nice add for the session.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, it was a lot of fun. It was cool when Mercer's character pulls out the bag of bearings and drops them, which causes, some fun and antics on both sides of the screen later on.
I was a little sad that the gnolls and hyenas just all totally aced their deck saves.
Except for the last one.
Well, all right. I was looking for some more hilarity of people falling off the stairs and people falling prone. And
well, he actually set the DC higher than I thought he would anyway. I probably would have just set it as a 10, and maybe it's in the book as a 12. I don't even know, at that point. But, yeah, so, I mean, it was still a decent DC for a mundane item.
I don't know. I think that there's times that I feel the antics of what they do on Critical Role gets turned up a bit. And
that would have been a place to do it.
This would have certainly been one. And it would have allowed them to do more and rush through this encounter to be able to get towards the next one. Because, they did hem and haw, and initially there were, 4 gnolls, and they didn't act. So then 4 hyenas come in, and they didn't act. Well, then they brought in a 5th gnoll, and finally, like, they're just going to keep coming. We best get moving here.
Yeah.
Now, as a DM, this is definitely a tactic to get players moving, and seeing that side of it, the little peek into Matt's mind, I thought was kind of cool. Now I wonder, does he do the here's the prep of everything that's in the total tunnel, and is he minusing numbers from up here, or was he okay? Well, I've got to get them moving, and I'm just going to add more until they start acting.
Yeah, it's whatever I need for the time. Yeah, that's a good point. He made one call I'm kind of curious of your opinion on, and that's when Mollymauk moves up, attacks, and like he clearly states, I want to attack in this order. This is what I want to do, and because he's got his Blood Hunter ability on on the one weapon and not the other, and he knew the monster was weakened, so he wanted to use the other weapon on that first.
Yeah, I know exactly the moment you're talking about, and while Matt is a spectacular GM, I would disagree with the call. I would totally say, yes, you are doing an attack, and as part of the attack action, he can make an offhand attack with his bonus action. That's fine. You as the player can determine the order in which you do them because it's all together, and he chose to use the bonus action attack first as opposed to the action attack first, and that's mechanics. And he described the whole scene, and he then retroed it because it happened out of the order that...
Yeah, because he didn't do action, bonus action.
Yeah.
Now, the caveat to that is, the way I would run it is, you've committed your bonus action now, so it's not like you can change what your action is going to be later. You're taking 2 attacks, even if they're all at a corpse,
Right.
because you've committed your actions.
Right.
But that being said, I was like, that's kind of weird. But, I guess as GMs, we all have quirks and stipulations, and by the rule, yes, that probably is absolutely right, because you have to take an action in order to use your bonus action to make to make the extra attack with your offhand. But that being said, you're allowed to break up your movement, and you're allowed to break up, if you get multiple attacks, you can break them up however you want. You can attack, you can move, attack, move again, and attack if you wanted to. So it's like, what's that one extra one, whatever.
So, to me, I look at it as it's a package deal. He's declaring, I'm going to do this one at this guy at this guy. That's what I'm doing. And, I would have made the same choice, hoping to fell both opponents and alleviate a threat on an ally. It's a risky maneuver because, okay, well, what happens if you don't kill, one of them? You and the ally are now both at risk as opposed to only your ally. I disagree with that one call, but I think for most of the session, that's my only real grievance.
Yeah, and it's a minor one. Everyone runs their table a little bit different.
And when you're behind the screen, there's sometimes you're going to make those snap calls, and I'm certain that I've had some poor rulings over the years.
I attest to it.
So it's nobody's perfect, and this is just one over the course of a 4-hour session. So.
Yeah, I love the lollipop spiritual weapon.
To me, when she clarified it as the flat lollipop,
yeah.
I was like, if you have the round one, it's more like a mace and totally in line with the cleric thing. It's just colorful and fun. So I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, but the Jester character is kind of an agent of chaos.
It's true. I'm not saying that it's a wrong decision. To me, I just I would have liked the more colorful.
It's a personal choice, yeah. Aesthetic.
Bopping things around. I mean, heck, my cleric spiritual weapon is a giant book, so
should be a Tootsie Pop. That's what it should be. The end of the session.
Mm-hmm.
When Jester's like, I'm out of spells. I used my last one on Fjord. Is that the Fjord Explorer or the Fjord Escape?
Oh man.
That was a pretty good one from Nott.
Yeah.
But no, that being said, and I don't know I think it's Mollymauk that asked Jester's like, you have that big hammer on your back. Can you use it?
Well, they had found a assortment of mining tools and things that they wind up exploring. Yeah. So they're taking the crowbar and the sledgehammer and all these things that are nice tools of being in a mine. None of them are weapons and whatever have you, but it was definitely amusing that it's oh, well, now that you've got this thing, are you going to use it? It's just no, absolutely.
But then she was out of spells, so maybe she might be swinging it. I mean, you have cantrips,
and that's the thing that Matt pulls out. It's this is a lesson in
resource management,
because you're going to get to the point where you've blown all your big stuff, and now you're going into a bigger fight without any of your big guns.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Fjord might very well be out of spells too.
But I mean, Fjord is also he's the closest thing to the tank that they've got. So him being hurt and down on his luck, it's gonna be interesting next session to see how that goes. Caleb doesn't use his spells all that often for combat. He's using them for other stuff. So when he gets to combat, it's pretty much Firebolt.
Fireball. Well, Chromatic Orb. He does a lot of Chromatic Orb.
Yes, but session 5, he did that twice and just missed.
Yeah.
So
He still cast it. It didn't say he cast it well.
that could be a leading factor. I was like, well, this is a resource that I'm expending and not getting anything out of it. So perhaps that made him this session switch to a different mentality.
So I have a new highlight for like this session and last session.
Okay.
It keeps coming up. Every time Nott casts Tasha's Hideous Laughter, he tells a really bad joke, and I love it. And so far, they've been 2 different jokes, so we'll see if that continues.
I imagine as resourceful as Sam has been so far as a player, with only us watching, the second campaign, I'm thinking that he's got the world open to getting into this stuff because it's been hysterical.
Do you have any speculation on what the big monster is? Matt has alluded that one of in the next encounter, there's a big monster. Like we've heard like loud booming or something like that made me think big monster.
I don't know how the human wearing the Knoll costume, did mention something about her, and the players are speculating of, is this, Yeenoghu, or is this, something else?
That's like, fuck this shit. I'm done with Critical Role. I've had enough. Yeenoghu. That's it. I would call that a little bit of a campaign ender.
I'm not saying that Yeenoghu is there, like these characters are second level, and until they...
Third level now. They leveled up. They have their archetypes.
Oh, sorry. They made third level by resolving the case. So they're third level. They got access to more spells and what have you. But being third level, they're not prepared for a demon lord. They're not prepared for some of the bigger stuff. But like
maybe an ogre. I don't think they're prepared for much more than what they've encountered. I mean, that was a pretty hefty encounter.
A Knoll pack leader, which he specifically called out, that's exactly what that guy in the armor was. Yeah. And he was kind of a beast in combat when they met him the first time. We know that there's going to be more Knolls. We know that there's going to be the Pack Lord. We know that there's some kind of spellcaster. And, that could honestly be, an apprentice or, something out of the NPC section that he literally just like, oh, I'm just going to drape it with no clothing, and it's just there.
What you just said sounds like too much for me. But, the hyenas and the Knolls were a good fight, and they're down resources.
They're down a lot of resources. Now it's going to be, in a, confined area, but they don't have any AoEs to talk about. And that's another thing that they joked about. It's like, oh, get your AoEs ready. What the heck's an AoE?
Yeah. Really, they're missing. They got to be missing Yasha at this point. That would make a huge difference to put her up in front and kind of like stop up a tunnel. That would be a good thing.
The best that they're gonna really have is Beau. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna do patient defense. I'm gonna deflect arrows, and you guys are just gonna have to, shoot and do your best over top.
She's used a couple Kai points, so there ain't a lot of patient defense to be going around.
Well, I mean, she could just take the dodge action as...
Sure, but then she's not attacking.
Yes, you are correct.
So they're down resources all the way around, and I'm just curious to see where things go next session. And also next session, we're going to start right in the thick of things, right in the action. Real quick, I guess we should touch on the town before they even went. Like, I really had a lot of fun and enjoyed the different characters Matt was introducing and how he lives in them for those brief moments. It's funny because even characters that aren't particularly exciting or memorable, he just brings them to life so much.
Well, I mean, I think he's taking a lot of his GM expertise and combining that with him being a voice actor, so he can say, okay, well, I'm just gonna make this spectacular voice for the guy who runs the Broad Barn. Okay, this is a bit of a southern thing going on, and it was hysterical and completely enjoyable to get in there and see what he's preparing.
But the best was when I forget which character said it. But they were kind of like questioning the quality of the stuff that he's going to have. And he's like, what kind of establishment do you think I'm running? And they're kind of like, well, it is in a barn. Fair enough. So,
Yeah, and he's looking for like 20, Caleb's looking for like 20 gold worth of incense. Yeah. And the guy brings back everything that could possibly...
Sacks and sacks of things that could burn.
Anything that's going to smell when burned. And it's like, is this just basil?
Oh, oregano.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, they were definitely making the joke of them getting duped by like older stoners or something. I'm sure that went over your head, but yeah, that was like the joke that they were making.
Yeah, I thought it was amusing when it's like, okay, I'll pay you 17 gold, and then he gives them 16.
Yes, yeah.
I'm gonna slowly count this
and
out.
that goes back to where, and then Nott's like, and that was part of the scam, right? Because he's slowly counting it out, and Nott's looking around for things to steal, and it's like, well, they've been cleaned out of everything that's important. But I keep wanting to wrap this video, guys, but then I think about something like the pickle jar.
The pickle jar was amusing. The guy basically takes pickles out of his own lunch to give it to them.
There's 2 pickles, but that's not even the best part. The best part is then they're using the pickle jar to collect the Knoll ears.
Absolutely. It was funny when they talked to the guard looking for a horse, and Fjord. I imagine nice, tall. He's not broad. His strength isn't massive like a half-orc would normally be, but he
does have an 18 con though.
But he is impressive, stature wise, and he's like oh well, I could tell town guard about you not trying to assist us and blah 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 blah, and Caleb just charms him.
Yeah. Fold that.
So I thought that was a nice, amusing exchange, and then it's like, okay, well, here's your copper that I agreed to pay you.
You just keep reinforcing the fact that they're more goodly than good.
And Molly actually is like, well, here's the silver that was actually agreed to pay you. He uses his own money. I find it hysterical that they each got 60 gold from the last session. And they're being so stingy about what they're willing to pay and do. And I'm like, what are you doing with all that money?
Hey, maybe they got things to save up. 6 mothers or something. Who knows?
No further information in regards to, speaking of mothers, Jester's mom and the money there. But she does tease when they get to the gnome who had the one tavern. It's like, oh, well, maybe my mom will help you out with this.
Yeah.
I'll send a letter.
Just sending them letters. So, I can't wait till next week. We'll see what happens next.
With Critical Role, Matt's always saying, is it Thursday yet? Well, I watch it Friday morning, so I'm now looking forward to Friday mornings.
It's a Friday, and I watch it Friday night. I haul my laptop upstairs and set it up next to the TV and get the HDMI cable and watch it on the TV.
There you go.
It would be so much easier if I just had a smart TV, but I have a dumb TV.
So, what do you guys think? Are you watching Critical Role? Are you enjoying this as much as we are? It's a great place to, put your thoughts and comments down below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over at nerdarchy.com.
So until next time, stay nerdy.